Welcome to 2 on the 10.
Oh, yeah, we back. 2 on the 10.
Hello,
Hey, I'm Paul.
I'm Mitch.
Greedy Nick.
Oh,
Greedy.
yes. And we got a special guest on the show today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Mr. Doug Hopkins. Hey, can we clap it up for him, please? Yeah. There we go. For you guys don't know, Doug is probably the top premier home buyer in the Valley. You might have seen his commercials all over the place. He's also was on Property Wars. Allegedly, you may have seen him at Mitch's birthday party too. So
He may not have seen you.
Allegedly.
allegedly, but Doug, welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
No, appreciate you coming.
Yeah,
Seriously.
definitely. So, Doug, I've known you. I don't know if you realize I've known you since '07. That's when I first, I got out of football. I was trying to figure out what to do, and I looked up on your office. It was your first office that you had on Higley and what's that, Southern over there.
I'm back over there, man.
I saw,
you
that, I saw
really?
that the other day. I
Okay, that's
go to
good.
Sprouts over there.
So, I dealt with some guys that were in your office. And I was just learning how. Yeah, you better stop. I was, I was learning the real estate game. I was basically, I wasn't fixing and flipping at the time. I was just wholesaling deals and making a commission off that. And I ran into you, and you were, I mean, you still look young. I mean, you still,
Please.
you're still a young man, but it was just amazing, like how I've seen you grow since '07, just from that office to where you are now. It's just incredible, man. And like I said, I got to take my hats off to you. You just stayed on the grind, and it was just nothing but real estate. So like I said, I'm so proud of you. I'm happy that you're on the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mitch, how long have you known Doug?
You know what? I honestly probably just a little bit afterwards, but I mean, I think we really started bonding when I started. Well, I mean, first of all, there was the bar Dubs. I think with Wally and everything else,
Yep.
and and stuff. And then there was obviously the Hub, which part owners with.
Yep,
Right? Yeah,
absolutely.
we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Sure.
And then really got to know Doug though when I stepped into the Moose.
Yeah. For sure.
And so and
Moose Lodge.
yes, shout out to Moose Lodge.
Love it.
And I'll tell you one other thing too. So obviously Doug's one of his really good friends is KK, good friend of ours and stuff of mine. And we were piecing something together a while back as I'm very fortunate to have mixed, like in with kind of your group a little bit with Jake and Sam and KK.
Yep.
And, they always hit me up and I'm hitting them up. What's going on? In fact, you didn't make dinner last week, but, I know I invited you the same day. So
You
he's
did.
all, person like me, you need to invite me like a couple weeks early. Let me know. Give me a heads up. But Osaka was really good, by the way.
I saw the pictures, man. Looked fantastic. Yes.
But so no, it was funny because me and KK were talking one night and I realized that Paul coached, your guys' kids and stuff.
my nephew. Yeah.
Yeah, your nephew. And here's what's funny. I used to go to those games.
Oh, did you
And,
really?
yeah, in fact, I got one of the players on that team, and I used to go there. And then KK said, "Were you at our after party that we had one time for the end of the season?" And because I went to all the games, remember Paul?
Mhm.
And so it was funny. I remember Big Bill was coaching too, and all this other stuff. It was so crazy. It's crazy how 6 degrees of separation, happens sometimes. Shout out to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. That's what I said. I've known him forever. But come on, let's talk. We got you on the show. Let's talk about you. So where are you from? Let's start out with that. Where you
Yeah,
from?
I'm originally from New York. I grew up there, and I moved out here when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
So I went to every Jets home game, New York Jets home game from when I was 6 to 16.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the cool thing about it is my dad, who turns 80 on November 12th, the Jets are playing the Raiders up in Vegas. So
Oh, wow. Are you guys going to the game?
I bought 4 tickets to the game, and myself and my girlfriend and my mom and dad are going to all go to the Jets game for my dad's 80th birthday.
That's amazing.
dope.
That's amazing.
That's dope. And that's
That's
that's an amazing stadium too. But I've played in MetLife, and that's a big stadium too, though, out there in New York. Yeah,
Well, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Jersey. I was just going to say Jersey.
You don't go to New York. They warned us. They were like, okay, so it could take you 45 minutes or it could take you 2 hours. They were like, if you want to go, because we stayed out in New Jersey when we were playing the Jets, and then they were like, don't go to New York because if you're late getting back, then you're in trouble. So, but
Yeah, yeah, it was great when I was going. The first probably 6 years of it was at the old Shea Stadium
okay,
where the Mets played,
right.
and that was cool because those were my dad's drinking days, and he got.
People drink in your family?
Not anymore. No, no. My dad did enough in the first 55 years of his life to last a lifetime. So, interesting rides home. I remember that. Yeah. But after the games, they left. It was called the Diamond Bar, or Diamond Club, and you got to go into the Diamond Club if you were a member. And my dad was a member, and so they'd go into the bars and wait for all the traffic to go. And the players back then weren't making a lot of money. This was the early to mid '80s. They were making $30,000-$40,000 a year. And so they would go up to the bars afterwards, knowing the fans would buy them drinks.
Right.
So I got to meet a lot of the players and get a lot of autographs when
There you go.
I was up there. So I remember, and they didn't have that at the Meadowlands when they moved over to the Meadowlands. So I really loved going to Shea Stadium and meeting the players. I remember, so to this day, my favorite New York Jet of all time is Joe Klecko.
Really?
I was actually gonna guess that. I was really gonna guess that.
Ah.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, yeah. The Sack Exchange,
Gastineau.
Gastineau got all the attention and everything, and he's the show off. But Klecko was just can I cuss?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He was a badass. He was,
That's not even cussing.
no. That's all you're gonna get. I remember shaking his hand as I can't be 9, 10 years old, something like that. I just remember his hand just engulfed mine. I mean, it was just incredible, and it hurt actually. He did pretty good, but he was so nice and kind, and to this day. I wear 73. Everything on my whenever I have to make a pin or something like that, there's a 7-3.
3 and 8. Yep. That's like me. 3-2.
Yeah, yeah.
With Jim Brown.
So yeah, I love him. But yeah, there were some thin years back then. The Jets have not been good. They have not won a Super Bowl in my lifetime. So I was born in '71, and they won in '69. So I'm a Jets fan. Then I moved out here, and I'm a Cardinals fan. So yeah, I have not witnessed Super Bowl. I am a glutton for punishment when it comes to my enemies.
So who you rooting for? You got the Jets on one side and the Cardinals on the other side. Who you going for?
That'd be tough. I did that in 2001 when it was the D-backs and Yankees.
Okay.
And
Ooh, yeah. We were at that game.
We were at Game 7.
Game 7.
I was there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
was there with KK.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but in 2001, it was Game 1, and I was watching at my buddy's house, and the first pitch happened, and I'm just sitting there like this. I was deeply confused, and I'm sitting there justifying anything in my head, and because I've been a Yankee fan my whole life,
Right, okay.
And but they had won the previous 3 World Series, and then you had 9/11.
Yeah.
as well.
It was
So it was
huge.
Yeah, it was insane, and so I was like, I don't know if I can root against the Yankees. And then Craig Counsell came up and hit a home run,
Right.
and I jumped up and screamed, "Yeah!" And I'm like, "What just happened?"
So you knew in your heart lied.
Yeah. I told Luis Gonzalez that story. He's like, "Well, I hit one right after that," and I'm
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, that game was wild. It was arguably one of the greatest World Series ever.
Oh, that series. Yeah. I mean,
It was an emotional roller coaster.
yes.
can I just tell you this from the president coming out with you could tell he had a vest on underneath, to throw out a pitch.
Perfect pitch.
Do you remember the flyover from the Jets?
Yeah.
Before the game, that if you didn't get goosebumps, you're not alive. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
and then I don't know about you, but what was the feeling? Okay, considering you were a fan of both teams, but when you said Craig Counsell at the home run, so you kind of started knowing where your heart was in that series.
Yeah.
What was the feeling when the D-backs won in Game 7? The way it went down,
Wait,
because
yeah.
it's not supposed to get a run off Mariano Rivera. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and Sirianni hit one in the 8th. So
Yeah. And it started raining a little bit. Remember? We're like,
Oh yeah, it was insane. So I went back in 2009. So I'm still a big Yankees fan. 2009 when they beat the Phillies, I went back for Game 6 and watched them close it out. So I'm still a huge. But when they were playing together, I didn't know who they. But exactly, my heart told me exactly who I wanted because I was out here already for I moved out here in '87.
Okay.
So I've been out here and really you start following the local teams, and all I listen to is talk radio all day long, and the local talk radio. I don't listen to all the ESPN nuts. And so you come to love these players, and then you go out to the games and you meet them, and get introductions. I'm lucky enough to know some people that can introduce me to people, always go down to the dugout suite, and the players come in and sign autographs for my mom and stuff. So you get to meet these players and stuff, and you can't help not fall in love with the team. So it was great to see them pull it off against Milwaukee earlier, and we'll see what happens with the Dodgers coming up.
I know it's a tough match.
Tough matchup.
Hey,
Big payroll.
Yeah, we have some
Payroll.
friends on the other side that's already texting me.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But let's go back. So how'd you get into real estate?
So I got into real estate kind of by accident a little bit. I was working as a door-to-door cable salesman,
Oh, wow.
and I was making decent money, putting myself through college, and I was working with Kevin Kaczynski. He decided to get a real job. He graduated from NAU, and his dad got him a job working at a mortgage company. What happened was this was 1993. So he got a job. Rates had just come down. Rates have gone up right now. They're about what, 8.5%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
I bought my house 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And but the rates at the time were like 10.5%. They came down to 8.
Okay.
And so everyone that had payments that were 10.5 can refinance them and save hundreds of dollars. And so Kevin wound up going over and doing that. Sorry about bumping that. And basically he shows me a check for like $10,000 for 2 weeks.
Back in '93.
Back in 90.
Whoa. He's balling.
And it was only 2 weeks, and I looked at my paycheck, and it's like 500. He's like, Doug, it's the same thing. He's like, you're just selling. The commissions are bigger. And so I decided to do the same thing, and I started and went through school and learned all about mortgages, or at least I thought I learned about mortgages. The day I started, interest rates jumped back up. And that was the end of refinancing.
Wow.
And so I didn't make. I worked for about 4 months, trying to convince realtors to use me for their loans, and I couldn't get anybody to do it. And I was going into real estate offices every day, and buying lunches. And the next thing I know, because you're not on salary, it's commission only.
Right.
I had no money left. And so I was selling baseball cards just to pay rent.
Hey now.
And so then I met this couple, and they said, hey, they'll talk to me about me being their loan officer. And so I met them for breakfast, and they said, listen, Doug, we have no interest in using you. We have 2 really good loan officers. And this is after we already ordered, and I had the check in my. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm like, man, I think I only have like $10 left on this, this credit card. And I think because we went to a place that was like $1.99 special, I think the bill came to like $9.
Oh, no.
And I was praying that the credit card would go through, and it did.
Right.
But they offered me a job. They said, we see something in you. We'd love for you to come on and work for us and use you as our assistant, and then take over our business for us.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay. And in the first year, I sold like 40 homes.
40 homes in the first year.
40 homes in my first year, which
And you were hooked, huh?
is really hard to do.
Yeah.
Especially with no internet, right? No internet.
There's no internet. Yeah.
You don't understand that. You
Yeah.
don't understand that, you know.
When I first started, I mean, literally there was books. You look through the listings that came out like once a week in a book,
Wow.
and then they had some program that was every day they came out, and you got to go on these program and stuff on the computer. But that was crazy times. But yeah, there was no internet, no cell phones really. I mean, cell phones had just started, but there were those
Briefcase or the brick or the bricks.
Yeah.
They were more like ones from the rap videos, right?
I heard those are worth some bucks now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wish I saw the briefcase one.
All right. I should have kept mine, but that's okay.
We all had the pagers back then.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, had a pager, yeah. And then remember the pager, then you got a whole message on the pager, not just.
Two-way.
Oh, yeah, the two-way.
Two-way.
Yeah.
Two-way, yep.
Yeah.
Sky pagers, yep.
And yeah, that's how I made my money. Was being a regular realtor, and then in '99, a buddy of mine, I sold my first $1 million house. In
99.
And so
That's like selling a $5 million house now, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I got a check for the biggest commission I'd ever gotten at the time was 34,000, I think 34,500. And I wanted to build a bar in my house. So I had built a house and I knew I couldn't afford any of the upgrades. So I literally they got all the stuff it came with, but I had them stub out for where I wanted to put a bar.
Okay.
And my buddy Jeff had a bar. And so I called him up and I said, hey, can I come over tomorrow morning and take some pictures of that bar, give it to my contractor? He goes, I'm going to the auctions tomorrow morning. I go, what auctions? He goes, up the housing auctions. And I said, man, the housing auctions aren't there. That's where all like the mobsters are and stuff.
Sure it was back then in Arizona.
If you bid against them, they'll break your legs.
Yeah.
They'll bid you up and they'll try to rip you off. And he goes, oh no, I made friends with those guys. It's all good. They let me come down and buy one or two here and there. So I went down with him.
Interesting.
And they were bidding on these houses, and I just so happened to have a client that was looking for a house in Mesa, and it was on Revere Street. And this house is worth about $135,000, and it went for like I might mess this up, but it was like $78,000 is what it went for. And I'm like, holy cow! I cannot believe that house just went for $78,000.
Right.
And so I went up to the guy who bought it, and I said, hello, hey sir. Are you going to sell that house? And he goes, well, yeah, the dumbass, that's why I bought it. And I'm like, well, how much are you going to sell it for? And he goes, why? Who the hell are you? And I said, my name is Doug. Well, who are you with? Did you bid me up? I'm like, no, I didn't bid you up. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And he goes, you didn't bid on this house. I'm like, no. And he goes, who were you with? And I said, with that guy. And Jeff, okay. He goes, you wanted it's $10,000. Give me another 10 grand. So it went to $88,000 or something like that. And I might be messing the numbers up. It's something around 88 grand. I'm like, man, that is still a great deal.
Right.
And it was 68 to 78. That's what it was. It was 68 to 78. And so I'm like, man, that's a good idea. He goes, all right, if you want, it's 78,000 cash tomorrow. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'll get a loan. I'll write up the contract. He's like, no. This is trustee sale. It's cash tomorrow. I'm like, well, I don't have 78,000. He goes, well, go get hard money. And I go, what's hard money? And he goes, hard money. Go call this guy. And he gives me the number of a guy named Scott. And I went down in his office. I called him up, and his office was right.
Scott Gold.
Yep.
Ah, yeah.
And so I called him up, went over to his office.
So Scott.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah. He goes, we can do it. It's 20% down, and 18% interest. And I'm like, oh, I don't have.
Better sell this quick.
I don't have 20% down. And he goes, oh, well, just wholesale it then. I go, okay. What's wholesaling mean?
You were like me when I first discovered wholesaling too. Yeah. It was.
He goes, well, you just find somebody that has the money, and you add a fee onto it and sell it to them, and you can make a quick buck. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
Yes.
And so I started calling everybody I knew in my Rolodex, and I called a guy named Clint, and he came over to see the property. They had it rekeyed. We walked in. He's like, so this is 80. He's like, I had bought it for 78, and I go. He goes, how much? And I go, 82. Make it quick, $4,000. And he goes, and you have hard money? And I'm like, yeah, these are the terms. And he goes, okay, looks good. And literally we went down the next day. I went with him, he paid for it, and they cut me a check for $4,000. And I drove home and called my dad and said, my life just changed.
Yes. Life changing.
And he goes, what? I go, the light bulb went off, and I'm like, and so every single day from that day forward, I went down to the courthouse steps, and I befriended everybody, and anything they bought, I would try to buy or see what they wanted to sell it for. And then I would, and so I found buyer after buyer after buyer, and I wound up buying probably 4,000 houses from them until I went off on my own. So yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
But I was driving every single morning. I wake up, they'd give me like 10 houses to drive. I'd go drive them, I'd comp them, and I'd tell them what I thought their number should be. And so because of that, I had first pick. And so as soon as they tell me the price, I'd start making phone calls. And I built up a pretty darn good buyers list, and I was selling some houses, man.
Right.
But it was crazy because they would these guys, they were a bunch of really goofy dudes.
Oh, for sure.
And
It's definitely changed since then. Though.
yeah, yes. So they would meet every single day after they wouldn't give me a price until they all met at the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to go to the strip club every single day.
Was there a
to find out what
specific-
the prices?
Specific strip club?
Yes. It was Christie's.
Christie's, okay.
And so I was newly married with a kid, and they would be, sales would be done at about 3:30, and we'd have to go there, and
Have to.
they would not give me a price if I didn't go. I tried to get out of it.
Yeah, you do not understand. I mean, you had to go to the strip club now, but I mean, they get on the phone and before they start bidding it up on the phone. Okay, what do you want for it? What do you want for it? And it'd be like a conference call. We wouldn't have to go to the strip club, but it'd be a conference call. They'd still be bidding it up.
It was insane. And I don't think I've been in one since because I hated it. All I wanted to do was get these houses and get back to my family. But they would make me go.
Right.
And I would be like, no, don't want.
It was your hazing. It was your initiation.
It was horrible. And we did it. I did that for well over a year. I think 2 years.
Right.
Till finally they let me stop going, and then just gave me the number on the phone. Yeah, because I was so miserable.
They knew you were persistent, so they were like, "He ain't going. They were trying to run you off.
Oh man, no! I'm like, I'm too busy. I got to go run houses for tomorrow. So I would make excuses like crazy. But I found out if I didn't go, I wouldn't get houses.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, I had to
You
go.
gotta play the game.
Sometimes you gotta go to strip club to make money.
Because I'd always take your money.
Yeah, because back then, and it changed after they have the $10,000 checks. But back then, it was $1,000
Yeah,
cash.
yeah.
So these guys had like $10,000-$15,000 in cash on them,
Yep.
and all the girls knew it. So as soon as we'd walk in the door, oh my gosh, it was a flock. It was
It was like you turn the lights on the roaches. Roaches.
and everyone was like, "Oh man, this is the coolest thing." I'm like, maybe for the first week, but after that, all I wanted to do was get houses.
Hey, Paul, do you remember that?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh. You don't remember them? Oh, never mind.
No. I have no recollection. Of
That business we used to have down the street.
CTE.
You're right. You're right.
I almost don't protect everything.
I got CTE too.
I don't think I've ever told that. I've been on a lot of podcasts and told a lot of stories and done 10 years of radio shows every week, and I've never told that story.
Hey, hit up the excuses. Hit the
We got the story right here. 2 on the 10, baby. That's how. Gotta tune in. So, Doug, how many houses do you have, under house right now? So, for you guys don't know, DougHopkins.com, that's his website, but that's
commercials are all
over the place.
Can I jump your question real quick?
Yeah.
How far do your commercials range? Because I think some of my friends have seen them in California.
Yeah, so I have another business called Sellers Advantage in the LA area, and we buy in Southern California. And then we had I was part owner of a media company, and we basically licensed out myself because it's a lot easier for guys to just say, "Hey, we'll just use Doug." A lot of people don't want to be noticed or it's like let Doug do it. Some people want to be on camera, some people don't. So we had about 70 cities in the country that were using my commercial. No, about half of them were using my commercial. I think it's down to about 15 right now.
Wow.
But I'm all up and down. So I'm up in Sacramento and
Shout out to 916. I went to school there, Sac State.
nice. And up in the San Francisco area, where people who called me from Nebraska going, "Dude, what are you doing on here?" Like, no, it's not me. They just use my commercial.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I love it. I get recognized everywhere. I get more recognized now from the commercials than I ever did for Property Wars, which was on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, that was crazy. Property Wars was
I remember that show.
back then. It's because I knew all you guys. I was like, okay, I'm dealt with him. It's kind of cool at that time. So,
Yeah,
but no, like,
I just didn't do that show.
really, why is that?
So they called me to do that show, and I said, no, I didn't want, like, I'd seen what happened to Storage Wars, and I heard that because of the show, that all the auctions at the storage facilities were all, people were just mobbing them now because of the popularity of the show.
Right.
And so all the prices went way up. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to do the show.
Right.
And so they kept calling me and calling me and calling me, and I'm like, no, not doing it. So they went down to an auction. It was in a law office, and there was only like 12 houses going, and they had all the cameras there, and they're like, "You sure you're not going to do it?" I'm like, "Nope." And so we wound up bidding, and I won 10 out of the 12 properties. And they're like, "We don't have a show without this guy because he's buying everything." We were the number one bidder for a long time down there.
Right.
And so one of the head producers from New York was out here and was so frustrated that and I'd already blocked the other guy's number. I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they had got me before I got in a divorce. And so, or what decided to get a divorce, wasn't divorced yet at the time. And he calls me up and he's like, listen, man, I know you don't want to do the show, but I'm telling you, this is going to go blow up. It's already red lit or green lit. Sorry, not red lit, green lit. And it's going to be happening. You're going to be a household name. And you would hate this if this turned into something great for your competition and you decided not to do it. And I was sitting there going, and I could meet girls, maybe.
He was like, alternative motive. He's like, okay, yeah, this will work for me.
And so he got me thinking about it, and I said, all right, I'll tell you what. I'll meet you tomorrow at 7:00 in the morning. I start at 7. I'm going to start driving properties, and just follow me around. Do not get into my way, and we'll you can see what I do. And so they were driving around, and they're showing me looking around at the houses and whatnot. And so we get done with like 3 properties, and like, this is really boring.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm like, yeah.
There's nothing to it. It's just like, I got to put these numbers together, make sure they make it, they make it right, and then go.
Inspect the house, take a bunch of pictures, and leave, go to the next one. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they're like, well, don't you guys get together at the auctions and yell and scream or anything? I'm like, no, not really. I call my bidders. The bidders are down there. And they're like, all right, well, just this once, can we just go all meet at this property and what else you got today? I'm like, and we'll do it live and you guys can do what you do. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And so we went down to this house on Saratoga Street in Finley Farms in Gilbert.
Okay, I know exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
2018. So
I know what Finley Farms is.
yeah. So I'm down there and everyone's talking and this house, believe it or not, it was 1,300 square feet, and it was worth about 110,000, maybe $115,000.
What year was it? What year was this?
118. So 2011.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
2011. Yeah, it was worth about $120,000 on its best day, and which that house is worth over 500,000.
Yeah. Wish you would have bought up a lot more of it.
Yeah, yes. And so it should have sold realistically in about $85,000, according to what stuff was going for at the time. And so it was myself and John Ray,
yeah.
and Scott Managan, and who's in jail right now for serving a 17-year prison sentence. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that is a whole. I heard that story. That was crazy. It was with the furniture store and
Yeah.
and all that's okay. Yeah, but that would be a show in itself.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, they had
Next week.
they did a thing on MSNBC about that.
Oh, that was the what's that? The
Greed.
what's it called? Greedy Rich and something or
American Greed.
American Greed. American Greed. Yeah.
So
He was on. I mean,
They did a show about it.
God rest his soul. But we were talking about, we were talking about Scott Gold earlier, and
Denny Chittick.
Denny Chittick. Sorry about that. No, I mixed up the two, but he got caught up in that, and then that was kind of his demise. But like I said, that's another story in itself. If you guys don't see, check that out. It's just you talk about greedy. He was greedy. He was greedy. We call you greedy just because of your sports betting, but that guy. It was bad. He took down some lives, but anyway.
Remind me of a sports bet. I got another story about a sports bet. So,
Okay.
but anyway, I'm down at the down at this place and you know, we had talked about it and like, "Eh, what do you think it's gonna go for?" Probably 83,000. Like, yeah, Doug, you always buy this stuff. This is right up your alley. I'm like, yeah. So I had other bids and I had bid up to $87,000 was the high bid because we had a bunch of bidders that would always give me their high number. And so I'm like, all right, so it starts out at like $69,000 and we go to 70, 71, 72, 75, gets up to 80, 81, 82. It's getting slower, going up by 500s now. 80, so all of a sudden it gets at 87 and I'm like, oh man, I'm at my number. And what I didn't realize at the time, normally I would stop. But what I didn't realize at the time is when the cameras are on you, you don't want to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Your ego kicks in.
Oh, 100%. And so all of a sudden I'm at 90,000. I'm like, I start shaking.
Right,
And I'm like, I don't want to lose.
right.
So 91, 92,
Whoa.
93, 94, 95. And it's me and Scott
Okay, going back.
going back and forth, going back and forth. 96, 97. We're doing this by 100. It must have taken 40 minutes.
Okay, so but tell the real story. Normally when the cameras aren't on you, it's text messages going back and forth saying,
Yep.
"Hey,
Or
Jump-
you pick up your phone.
yeah, say, hey, jump off this. You know, I'll give you 500. Leave it alone. Don't bid it up. Stuff like that." So for you to say, "Yeah, no, I was going up and I wasn't going to stop," that was definitely ego and everything was out the window. Yeah, I was definitely the camera work right there.
Yeah, yeah. So so we get to 99,000. It was and I think it was 99.7 to him. And I said on the phone, go to $100,000, and if it bids another effing dollar,
Right,
effing stick it to him.
right.
And so he stopped bidding at 100 grand, and I bought that thing, an occupied house.
Oh my God.
I have no idea what it looks
Looks
like.
like,
That's
right.
worth $118,000, and I buy it at 100 grand. And as soon as I won, I took all the papers. I had all the papers for the day, big old stack of papers, and I threw them in the middle of Saratoga Road, in the middle of a subdivision. And I started screaming and yelling at Scott like a madman,
Right.
running at him, telling him, "What the hell are you doing, you piece of blah 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 blah," and cussing and going nuts.
TV gold.
And he's like, "Hey, you didn't have to bid it. You could have just let me have it." I'm like, "You." So, and anyway, I turned around to the cameraman. I'm like, and who was the actual producer, the head producer, and I said, "Is that what you're looking for?"
So you were playing to the camera and
I was
playing to
playing-
the
oh, yeah.
camera the whole time.
And he goes, "You're not mad?" And I'm like, "No, man. I figured that's what you want."
That was amazing.
And he goes, "Oh my God." He goes, "That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life." He goes, You're hired. You have to be on the show now." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, that just cost me a lot of money right there. I'm going to have to keep it as a rental."
Right.
I still have it to this day.
Do you really? Oh wow,
I
that's
have that house to this day.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
that's a good story. At least
Yeah.
you got a good story with the house.
So going back to how many properties that you currently have?
I have about 70 or so properties.
Okay.
And you know, I made the decision back in the day that when I was 25 years old, 25, 26, that I wanted to buy 10 houses in the next year, put them all on 90% mortgages, 15-year mortgages, and have them paid off. And that was going to be, I wanted to be a millionaire at 40, 41 years old.
When did you do it?
Like 3 years later. Yeah.
Hey, that's all. Hey, I said 40. I did it at 45. So
Yeah, I did, well, 3 years, like
42.
like 20, 29, I think is when I.
29.
Yeah, 28, 29, somewhere in there. But I wound up going, well, 10, because you could only have 10 mortgages at the time.
Yeah, right.
And you put down 10%, and I got a 9.5 for 10% interest rate. And so I had these houses, and as rents went up over the years, I just started paying them off one by one. So I didn't need the income because I was making really good money in real estate. So I didn't need the income from the rentals, and I was making like, you know, $50 to $100 on each
Right.
rental. And so what I would do is take that money, which would be like an extra $500 or $600 in rents across the board for the 10, you know, $500,000-$600,000, whatever it may be, and I would put that toward the one with the lowest mortgage amount.
Gotcha.
And then I would add, sometimes if I had a really good month, I'd add $5,000 or something like that, and I started paying them down. And so then once one got paid off, then okay, that $900 payment, I would just apply that to the next one. And so I was able to pay those off when I realized how much, instead of paying like $300 extra a month on each mortgage, I would add all that up and put it onto the lowest possible mortgage until that got paid off, and it was snowballed. And I wound up doing that and paying them off in like 5 years. So
Wow, that's amazing.
I don't owe a penny. I
There
don't
you
owe a
go.
penny on
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's an
There you
amazing
go.
story.
So that's some gems,
Hey,
2 on the 10, baby.
Hey. Hashtag motivation. Motivation right there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what, I mean, the state of the market right now, what do you see, what do you see it is right now? What do you see in 2 years and maybe 5?
Oh man, I wish I had that crystal ball.
I know, but just doing historical.
yeah.
Because I know, you're a big time numbers guy. So I know you see, historical numbers. Granted, we're in some, weirdo times right now, but
Yeah, so what we're seeing right now in Arizona at least, is inventory has risen quite a bit. It went from the low of like 6 or 7,000 last year, and climbed up to 20 something thousand houses, into December or so of 2022. And then all of a sudden, we had a bunch of houses that it picked back up again, and a lot of people took their houses off the market, that realized that they weren't going to get, May's pricing anymore in November, December, because
Plus the interest rates
we-
too, right?
yeah, because interest rates went up, supply got bigger, and people were comping their houses and wanting the houses that sold when they sold for 4 or 5 months ago. Well, those houses sold when the interest rates were at 3%, 3.5%. Now all of a sudden they're at 5%. Makes a big difference, that 1.5, 2 points. And now we go from 5 to 8. It's growing back up to, it's about 14,000 now. It went down to about in the sevens and 7,000, and it's going up significantly. It's basically doubled in the last 3 months, 4 months.
what's a normal average? Isn't it like 20 to 28,000?
20,000, yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that, just because there's so many people here, and the houses go a lot quicker if they're priced right and they sell, because there's so many people moving here. So we have undersupplied, and people can't afford to move anymore. The natural progression was, all right, you buy your $200,000 house, and then you upgrade to your $300,000 house, or what it may be, but people can't afford to do that because you're more than doubling your payment.
People are making more money, and the cost of inflation and everything, I mean,
Yeah.
gas prices, 8% inflation on groceries. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I hear people are freaking out because the chicken sandwich at McDonald's costs $3 now instead of
well,
$1.
well, let's be honest. People are freaking out when the Moose charges 25 cents more a drink.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everything's going up. Like, economy's a little rocky. I mean, do you see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel? I mean,
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And, I think
the
a lot.
elections, stuff like that.
Yeah, with the elections, I think there's going to be a move downward in interest rates in early 2024.
I know KK hopes so.
Yeah, and I don't know how big of a difference it's going to make. I see a lot of the houses that are selling now. People are asking for points and help with closing costs, which we got to take into consideration when we're pricing out houses. That it sold for $300,000, but they paid 3 points. That's $9,000. So you have to keep that into consideration when you're comping out your house. As far as if we fix it up and flip it, we got to take into consideration another 3 points or so to pay for, closing costs are going to be asked for by pretty much every borrower out there right now.
Right.
So, I think that inventory is going to continue to rise. And we have a smaller demand because of affordability. Interest rates will probably come down a little bit to make the whoever's in charge right now, the Democratic Party, look a little bit better, and have the economy look a little bit better for election time. but we shall see. I mean, I've been right before and I've been wrong before. There's a lot that can happen between now and then.
Definitely.
Definitely. Last question I have for you is, so you have these little pop up. So back when you were coming up, it was just individuals now, and now you got like big corporations. You got which is Zillow's,
Door.
and then you got
Open door.
yeah, Open Door, and then you know
Still an open door in bed together.
yeah, and now you got what's it, 72 Soul,
Oh, the guy with the hands that flare.
yeah, exactly.
Wave around.
You know,
He's more a marketing guy though.
yeah, but what
He's a good dude. I like him.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you what do you think about them and that guy So,
So my girlfriend works for 72 Soul.
oh really? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I told her to get a job there. She came to me and said, "Hey, should I work for you and with you?" And I was like, "Man, I think that's a bad idea for a relationship."
What's your partner? I did that with my ex.
Yeah,
It was
I know.
touch and go right there.
I'm gonna have to take a mental note on this one.
I did.
No, I'm just fucking.
I think if you see some disagreements between me and my ex, but that's another story.
Yeah. Because it's so hard to compete against the big guys that are paying for all this advertising. Because you used to be able to, count on your sphere of influence and your past clients and all the people that you know. But everyone's bombarded with these commercials all day long, and you get all these letters and hey, someone's going to give you this, and you call them up. And next thing you know, someone's at your door, and you're signing a paper, and next you're done. And so I've seen all the old school people that were doing great businesses struggle tremendously moving forward, and it's because of people like me that are on the TV all the time and on the radio, and then we come out, we're professional, and we give them a price that's fair, and we're buying 500 houses, 500 to 600 houses a year, just here in Phoenix.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing number. Seriously.
Yeah.
That is crazy. But let's kind of switch. Let's
fun
switch gears. Yeah, let's just switch gears. 'Cause, the real estate is fun, but but here on our show, we love to dive deep, and like I said, we've known Doug for a long time and stuff like that, and stories pop up from here and there and stuff like that. Mitch, I think you got one.
Well, okay. I just want to see, like, and again, this is all allegedly, this is not, but first of all, did you ever hear, Doug, the rumor of the Rivian versus the Dodge Hellcat race that happened on the 303?
No.
I can't confirm one.
I was just curious.
I can tell you this. You're talking about Kevin and myself. Well, it didn't happen on the 303. It happened on southern between Power and it was on southern between Power and Higley Head.
Allegedly, right?
This is all alleged.
Hypothetically.
Allegedly.
Hypothetically.
And hypothetically,
Who won?
oh my God.
Hey, can we give it up, Nick? Come on.
Yeah. So I think we went to. I think I went to 70, and so I went from a stop to 70, and then I'm like, oh, that's way too fast, and I stopped, and then as I was way ahead of him, I stopped, and he went past me, and he's like, I won. I'm like, I stopped. He stopped. And, yeah. If we keep going, he's going to win. But off the line, I am way quicker than the Rivian's way quicker than the Hellcat for sure.
Wow.
Oh,
we
there
got
we go. There we
got
go.
the allegedly exclusive. Shout out to 2 on the 10. Okay.
That's awesome. I think we got one more.
Yeah. Okay.
One more.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
another
Let's
legend. And no wrong. No wrong. We don't have to answer to protect the guilty and the innocent.
Yes.
But I heard about an elevator story at the MGM. No. I heard you were super tired, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Super tired. You were brought up to your room in a lazy boy chair.
No.
No.
No. Here, I'll tell you.
Okay. Tell me.
Wow, here we go. This is an exclusive.
Yeah.
So the year was 1998, I believe.
I think
And it-
statute of limitation. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
And it was the we're in Vegas for the Super Bowl. We're staying at the Four Queens Hotel in Las Vegas.
Hold on, real quick. The Vegas was that the year with the Giants and the Ravens, or no? The year before. Okay.
No, it was Atlanta and Denver.
Okay, got you. Wow. Okay, sorry.
And so I had lost every dollar that I came up with except a $20 bill. And it's Super Bowl Sunday in the morning, and I'm walking around not knowing what to do. And I walk into one of one of the other casinos down there, and it starts with an F. I can't remember. It's across the street from the
Fremont Street?
It's on Fremont Street.
okay.
Yeah, I think it starts with an F. But anyway, I wound up going in there, and they were giving away free T-shirts if you did a $20 parlay. And so I'm like, oh, I got nothing to lose, so I'll just bet on that. So I bet on Denver. It was, I think, Elway's first Super Bowl or something like that, or first one that he won. I bet on them. I bet on the over, I believe, and then I bet two other bets, and I can't remember what they were. But it was a 14 parlay that paid $200 away. I think it was with 10 to 1.
Right.
And son of a gun if I didn't hit it.
You hit it. Ah, there we go. There we go.
Not only that, but
Sounds like greedy right there. Uh-huh.
I'm like, I'm back in the game.
We're back.
It sounds like me.
So I plus I was the only one that took Denver. Everyone else took Atlanta.
Okay.
And I went double or nothing because I was borrowing money from everyone because I was out of money at the time. So I went. Now I'm like $220, and I usually only went up there with $200-300. Back in the day, you could sit down at $1 blackjack
Yes.
table.
That was back in the day. That's why we go to Laughlin now, because it don't happen like that in Vegas anymore.
No, some places they even make you pay for your drinks.
Oh,
now.
exactly.
So anyway, I went. I couldn't find a table anywhere in the casino, so I went out to the other casinos, and then I went into the Golden Nugget, and I finally found a $5 table. I'm like, all right, I'll sit down. So I put a $100 bill down. I had two crisp $100 bills in my wallet. Put a $100 bill down. They gave me four $25 chips, and I go, no, I want fives. And they're like, it's a $50 table. You know that, right?
At the Nugget?
At the Golden Nugget.
Whoa.
Well, this is after the Super Bowl.
You're
The
right.
place is packed.
Oh, you're
Everywhere's packed.
Gotcha, you're right.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. And I put the $50. I'd never bet $50 on a hand in my entire life.
Right.
And I'm like sitting there, whoa, my God. Blackjack. Next hand, I hit 20. I won 18 out of 20 hands
Oh, wow.
Wow.
at $50.
$50 a
apiece.
pop. Yes.
So all of a sudden I got a grand,
Yeah.
like a grand. And so when I was adding to it,
We're going to Sizzler.
so I get up to about $4,000.
Whoa.
Which is more money than I could ever. I'm like, wow.
Right.
And the Bellagio had just opened up. So I went over to the Bellagio and I go over there and sit down and I go on another heater. I wound up winning like $12,000.
This is one of them
Off of-
epic.
Off of $20.
Oh,
Yeah,
$200.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's one of them epic Vegas trips. Uh-huh.
So I won like 12 grand. And, but I got back into my room at, I think, 6 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Uh-huh.
So Monday morning, 6 o'clock. And I wound up wrestling around with some of the people that were staying in the room with me, and I was like, look at all this money. And then I passed out, and I was out cold. And so they put me on a couch and put me in the elevator and hit lobby.
Oh.
But I woke up just in time.
Right.
And jumped out right before the door closed.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's the story of.
Oh my God.
I just have to say, KK tells a story a little different, but I'm going to go with you.
That is the real story.
We got
Hey, we gotta get KK on this already.
we got the exclusive. We got the exclusive.
Definitely.
That's awesome. Thank you for being a good sport of that.
Kevin embellishes a lot.
Oh, exactly.
I think he visualized it in his head how he wanted it to go.
Yeah.
I'm telling you how it actually.
Actually went.
Oh, okay,
All
gotcha.
right, all right. Well, on the show, we talk about food a lot. On our show, we always talk about, we like to. What's your favorite food spot? Like if we said you only get one, where you going?
My favorite food spot in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Let's start with Arizona and then
Yes.
let's go outside of that. Yeah.
Probably, well, there's two different kinds, man. I got to go with two. I got two different places, which are completely different.
Mhm.
So I think if I had one meal, Kai. Have you ever been to Kai?
Hi, no, I haven't been to Kai.
You
What's
ever been
that?
to Kai? Kai is I think it's the only Four Diamond restaurant in Arizona. It's out at the Wild Horse Pass,
Oh,
by
yeah.
Sheraton Wild Horse.
Okay. Okay.
And it's a tasting menu.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable. It's a 4-hour experience.
Really?
And
You know what? I've seen that. I've seen that restaurant. It's up there with Shula's is up there too, right?
Yeah.
no, that Shula's is at the casino hotel. This is, you keep going about another mile.
Okay,
down
gotcha.
that road.
Oh, by the way, I have to plug it. Shula's, my boy Eddie's the GM there. So
Yeah,
we have,
Shula's is fantastic. I love Shula's.
Eddie's the GM. Shout out to Eddie. If we ever, let's do a brunch there sometime. I'll hook it up.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
I'd love
Perfect.
it.
KK wanted to do and Jake did. So, we'll hook it up.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you tell me a little bit more than 2 hours beforehand?
Yeah, Mitch.
I'll give you 3 hours.
Yeah. And then for an everyday thing, Guido's Italian Deli.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you talking about the North Scottsdale or the one that used to be in Mesa?
So,
Shout out to Mark.
yeah, you know Mark?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
My baseball card store used to be right down the street. I used to be there all the time.
Oh, no, I used to eat there all the time.
Me too.
Literally.
So did he.
So I actually had my, they catered my, what's it called, the day before the wedding, your rehearsal dinner.
Rehearsal, yeah.
They catered my rehearsal dinner.
Wow.
We had it at my parents' house. I couldn't afford anything, but Mark took care of me. We had, a bunch of meatballs and
Yeah.
spaghetti and ziti and all the pizzas and everything else he bought out. It was fantastic. I used to see him out quite a bit. I haven't seen him in a while.
Last time I saw him was when he actually worked the deli over at
Oh, yeah.
AJ's.
Yes, I
AJ's.
saw him over there. Yeah.
I still try to get the Italian dressing sauce from him. He would never give it up.
Yeah, I know, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. But I go down to the one in Scottsdale all the
That's his
time.
brother, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep.
his brother or uncle or
Yeah,
something.
or something like that. Yeah. I go out there too.
And so, but they've owned that one forever too.
Yep.
And so I go there.
So good. You took me there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
No,
not going there.
no, definitely,
I
definitely.
grew up in North
And
Phoenix.
you know what's funny? You know what's good for me when I go there? I get a turkey sandwich.
Me too.
We had turkey sandwich with that Italian dressing on the lettuce. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Yep, I love that. And then Nobu too is one of
No,
my
but okay, got you. See, I don't like the
Yeah,
portions.
Exactly. You spend all this money. I'm still walking out of
I
it.
don't need a sliver of a yellow tail for $80, and I need like a fingernail.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying for the portions.
I'll be going there next weekend in Malibu.
Oh, he's going to Malibu. Oh, you fancy greedy?
You know,
So you okay? So
It's $300 a person. I know.
yeah. I was.
To get it done right.
Oh no, it's wild, but I'd rather go over to Oceans 44
I hear
right
you.
across the street. That's my spot. So, but Greedy's family's from New York. You're from New York.
Yeah, we're New York.
they're all over. But my parents grew up in Queens.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was in. That's about. I grew up in I was born in White Plains.
Okay.
But lived most of my life in Bedford Hills.
Okay.
Yeah. You got time for a crazy story?
Give me.
We want a crazy story. Yeah.
But first of all, give me the spot that you go to in New York.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah.
Man, I have I have a hot dog place that I have them ship out all the time. It's called Walter's Hot Dogs, #1 hot dog stand in America.
Okay.
It's been around for like 75 years or something. like
Okay.
that. And
They online.
and it's so good. You have to go to Goldbelly.
Okay.
Goldbelly.com, and you can get like pretty much any of famous restaurant or whatever. They'll ship it right
I
out.
get some Junior's cheesecake and stuff.
Yeah, I guarantee you they have
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's-
Goldbellies.com. All
Goldbelly.
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But give me the story. Let me hear. Let's hear
This
this.
is a crazy story.
So I'm at the Hub one night. This is about 3 or 4 months ago, and the Hub Bar and Grill. It's a restaurant bar in Mesa, and I'm sitting there, and I'm about done with my beer, and I just started talking to the lady next to me, and her and her husband were there, and I was like, hey, "Oh, where are you from?" And they said, "Oh, we're from New York." And I said, "Oh, okay, whereabouts?" She goes, "Mount Kisco." And I said, "No way, I'm from Bedford Hills. It's right next door." You're like, "Oh yeah." And so we started talking. I go, "Did you go to Fox Lane?" I'm like, "I went to Fox Lane." Cool. And she was about 9 years older than me. And then she's like, "Well, we used to live in Bedford Hills at one point too." And I said, "Oh, really? Where at?" Because Bedford Hills is kind of a small place. And she goes, "On Hill Street." And I go, "I lived on Hill Street." "What was the address on Hill Street?" She goes, 7 Hill Street. I go, "No way. We lived in the same house." Her parents sold the house to my parents.
Wow.
We lived in the same bedroom.
Wow.
We're
What are the chances? That's what I'm saying.
astronomical.
Yeah.
That's
That's
Like,
crazy.
Somebody I didn't know, who I just happened to be standing next to, or I was literally standing, she was sitting,
Right.
and we just just struck up a conversation, and this lady lived in the same.
That's
room.
insane.
That's
mind-blowing.
wow right there.
That is insane.
So you said you were, at the Hub. Who has the best wings in the valley?
The Hub, 100%, hands down.
The smoked wings.
Smoke man, hands
Listen,
down.
smoked wings are amazing.
Yes, they are.
Absolutely amazing.
No.
But if you go over to Murphy's Law. They got these Jameson wings that will give you a run for your money, though. I gotta say. Yeah. Stop in there and check them. But the smoked wings are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get out to South Tucson too much.
Because you in Flagstaff. You all live in Flagstaff. Me and Doug live on opposite side of the world from each other and stuff like that.
All right, how about this one, Doug? All right, where's your favorite pizza spot?
My favorite pizza spot used to be Casanova Brothers.
Yep.
They went out of business.
That's when the brothers died, right?
Yeah. I'm a Spinatos guy, man. I really like Spinatos.
The sweet tangy stuff. So okay, I respect that because you're a New York guy, but you can do a Chicago pizza. You know, you don't have the bias necessarily, you know?
No. I mean, I don't like the real thick. Like I'm not a Lou Malnati's kind of guy. Yeah, it's too thick and
Giordano's. Ooh, that shit's so good. Oh,
it's
Giordano's my favorite. Giordano's my favorite pizza place.
Gotcha.
But you got to go to Chicago to eat it. You know, that's why they left out of here.
How about you?
The water.
Now, Paul might not be a fan, but you've been to Sal's Gilbert Pizza?
Yeah, Sal's is really good. Yeah, I like Sal's a lot.
You know what? Okay, I got to give Sal's a little bit of more props because Nick had a birthday party over at my house with him and his girl, and for little Henry, adorable, great looking kid, and he brought me some Sal's pizza, and it tastes better than the first time that he bought it to me. The first time it was like it was
going to
awesome.
South. I was actually there this weekend, and the cook Louis, when they first opened, they were
I was with you.
spot. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, because Chris never been
Yeah.
there, so we had to bring
Yeah,
her
he
to
came out, and I was like,
Little Mermaid.
and back when they first opened, he used to bring out like specialty dishes and be like, "Here, try this." And so we went in there, and Grace, the owner, was there, and Sal was there.
Yep.
So they came over and said hi, but man, I was thinking, I was like, I started coming here in like 2004, 2003, 2004. And she's like, yeah, that's right when we opened. So I've been basically going there since day one. And at a point there, I was telling her, I was like, I used to eat here like 3-4 days a week. There'd be days I'd have it for lunch. I'd be in the area, I'd stop in for lunch. And then me and Steve would go in for dinner, and I'd be like, you were just here for lunch. I'm like,
I'll tell you,
dinner too.
They're closed on Mondays, right?
Yeah, they close on
It seems like every time I
You want to go to the coffee?
I must have been there 3 different Mondays. I'm
Forget,
like,
yeah, you're like, what the hell? And then the Greek place next door is closed on Mondays too. So it's like neither spot's open.
yeah.
Their baked ziti slice is one of my top 5 slices.
You have to go in there and check it. Okay,
These
so I have one more question for you. Okay, I have one more question. So you're from New York. You got that fiery New York spirit. Okay, what's up with you and Mark Cuban?
Yeah, I think they got like 950,000 views or something.
Yes, of course. If you guys don't know, Doug here got in a little bit of a dispute with.
So Doug got some pretty good seats at the Suns game.
Oh, yeah.
We've been known to run each other a couple times.
Yeah, exactly.
We have some fun times over there.
Do you want to get into that a little bit of what happened?
So a couple years ago, when the Suns were playing the Dallas Mavericks in the I think this was conference finals or right before the conference finals.
Yeah, it was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and or semifinals, and Mark Cuban bought out like all these guys that were on their roster or cut from their roster, but he had like 9 extra guys that he bought out. And as soon as the game started, all these guys would come out of the locker room and they had no chair. They had no seat. So they literally was a line of 6'3" to 7 foot guys just standing there in my way. Because I have sideline, I'm literally on the sidelines. So it goes the players and then the backup players and the coaches and Mark Cuban and then me. So there's three rows on the floor. So, and Mark Cuban's always been real nice. We've always had conversations and stuff like that. But I wasn't very happy with his decision to have like 9 people without chairs standing there. And so I was there with my cousin. It was game 1. And so I'm like, Mark, this ain't right. These guys don't even have chairs, and so somebody videotaped my conversation. I guess I was not happy, so I was kind of yelling at Mark Cuban, and anyway, he didn't like me yelling at him, so we got into it a little bit, but actually he turned out to be a really nice guy, and I said to him, I'm like, hey, and the Suns whooped up on him in game 1, right, just killed him. And then it's in game. I go, hey, Mark, you want my tickets for game 2? I go, because I can't see anything anyway. And he goes, I might take you up on that, Doug. And he goes, here's my email address, and gives it to me. And I go, like, this is your real email address. He's like, that is my personal email, and I will answer myself.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay. And
Did you test that theory?
I did. I said, you know, I don't even think you're going to come back for Game 5. But if you want my seats for Game 5, you can have them. And he said, no, don't worry about it. You know, he said, well, if you want to come out here, I'll trade you for him. And I couldn't get out to Dallas to watch it.
Well, that would have been cool.
Yeah, but and so then, you know, I've talked to him like 3 or 4 times since then, and I've sent him a few emails. And I mean, it's amazing. He gets back to me within 5 to 10 minutes usually.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he's like, nobody. I go, how many people you have doing your email for me? He's like, I promise you, this is my personal email. Only certain people have that, and I check it all the time.
That's awesome, man. That's great stuff.
He's actually a really cool dude.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
There you go. There you go. Another exclusive on 2 on the 10. Hey, man, we're out of time. Doug, thank you.
very much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you.
Like I said, DougHopkins.com. If you're looking to sell your house or buy a house, whatever your real estate needs, hit this man up.
Yeah, or Doug Hopkins Real Estate on Instagram, Doug Hopkins Real Estate on Facebook, and I think on YouTube as well.
Yeah,
Hopkins and the Moose.
All right, we'll see you next week.
2 on the 10.
Yeah, but